Hey, this is Eli Campbell. You know, Steamboat is renowned worldwide for skiing, biking, and all that our natural playground has to offer. We're fortunate, though, that the natural beauty here attracts more than just outdoor enthusiasts. From local legends to world-class acts, amazing musicians regularly play the venues in our little corner of Northwest Colorado. Join me as I explore the stories and experiences of these talented artists who bring unforgettable performances to Steamboat. This is your Steamboat Sound Check. Welcome to the Steamboat Sound Check podcast, where we are continuing our series highlighting WinterWonderGrass musicians as we are in WinterWonderGrass week, and I have the distinct pleasure of being joined by one of my very favorite WinterWonderGrass musicians, Lindsay Lou. How are you doing today?
Great. How you doing?
I am doing wonderful. First and foremost, congratulations are in order as you recently announced that Kyle Tuttle and you are expecting a baby boy in May. That's a pretty big announcement, big shift for your life.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we're very excited. And um, you know, I found out that I was pregnant in Steamboat. We were in the upstairs apartment there at the Old Town Pub, and I took the test and walked around, called Kyle and walked around town, found a little creek and sat by it and talked to him for a while. And so it feels cool to be coming back.
Back full circle. That's very cool. Now, has becoming an expecting mom already shifted your perspective on music and songwriting? Are you finding new inspirations or themes coming through in the creative process?
Yeah, I mean, I just feel really motivated and driven and like rich in my creative life right now. It's like if you're into the woo-woo chakra business, it's like that the creating life and creating art comes from the same place in our spirits. And so I'm writing a ton right now and playing a bunch of music and just feeling really I feel like my life is really enriched with the creative spirit right now.
Nice. And of course, some of the first music that you've recorded was a set of lullabies as part of a Diapers for Bart. It's the Bart Diaper fan club experience that fans can contribute towards a month of diapers and in return get this digital set of 11 lullabies, some kind of classics, some new stuff. Can you talk a little bit about the sense of community that you felt from your fans throughout your career, but most notably over the last couple of weeks?
Oh, it's been, just the whole time uh invaluable. There's no words that could express, the gratitude that I feel for being able to do what I do, being able to sort of live what feels like the most authentic version of my life purpose, um, and to get support and responses from the people who I'm, you know, giving this art to, that it's been a companion or a comfort to them, or left them feeling less alone. Um, is really, really a wonderful thing. And uh, I sort of I feel really connected to the art of lullaby singing, because that's really where it all started with me. It was my mom singing lullabies, and on the Bart Lullabies for Bart record, I have a song of my mom and I singing together one of the lullabies that she would sing to me, one of my favorite ones, called the Riddle Song. I We always called it "Gave My Love a Cherry," but then I saw Doc Watson recorded it, and Sam Cooke has recorded it too under the title of the Riddle Song, which makes sense. But anyway, I that using singing as a way of feeling grounded, feeling calm, sort of finding your center and relaxing is what drew me to it from an infant, and from a little, I wanted to be a singer as soon as I could remember thinking, having my own thoughts. I was like 3 years old, convincing my cousin to learn songs with me, to perform for people, And so it feels really special and I felt really inspired to make this collection of songs, some that my mom sang to me, some that just are songs that feel calming and relaxing to me, and some that Kyle and I wrote for the project, you know. And even as like a little girl in elementary school, whenever we'd have a sleepover, it was like my job to sing everybody at the sleepover lullaby songs at night, you know. So it just feels like a really sweet time to be creating this new life and stepping back into the spirit of that lullaby singer.
Well, and you mentioned the inspiration of your mom singing you lullabies and recording on this one. You've had recordings with your grandmother, who is very inspirational to you in the past. Can you talk a little bit about the lessons that they have taught you that you want to carry forward for your son?
Oh man. Yeah. I mean, somebody in an interview recently asked me what is like one of the biggest things that my grandma taught me that I take with me through life. And um I think for her it was just she forged through life following what her intuition, what her inner voice told her was the right thing, was the thing that was driven by love and driven by the spirit, you know. And she did not have any regrets, you know. At the end, she's was so firm and living without regret, um, and so confident in her decisions for better or worse, you know. And so that's something I think that I've take with me from my grandmother. And my mom is just like something that she got from her mom, I'm sure that I've is one of the greatest things my mom has given me is her incredible capacity for love for all people. It's like um you feel loved when my mom is around, you know? Because she's probably trying to like fluff your pillow or make sure you have somewhere to put your legs up or, you know, are fed. And, you know, she's just such a nurturer and um also for better or worse. And so but there's just something about also just the way that she looks at you that you feel loved, you know? And I think I got that. And I think that it's a really sweet thing that the people who I love can feel that I love them just when I look at them. That's I think one of the greatest things. And I put that into my singing and into my work as a performer and an artist too is um I want love to be pouring out of me in the performance.
And that's something I've always appreciated about your music is it is truly authentic. You can feel the feelings behind what you are writing, what you are singing. And as we're talking about family and community, that's essentially what Winter Wondergrass is. It is a community, it's a family reunion every year, seemingly. Through the years, you've been deeply ingrained in anything that has Wondergrass attached to it, whether it's the Winter Wondergrass, Baja Wondergrass. You've been on the River Wondergrass trips, which actually my wife was had the great experience of rafting with you through Gates of Lodore a couple of
Oh.
times. And so you are really part of this family. And as an extension of your family, can you talk about what Winter Wondergrass has meant to you?
Yeah, I mean, right from my very first experience at the festival, um, I think the first time we played it was in 2018, and I've played every single event since then. Um, but the first time we showed up, and you know, I came from this big family. My grandma had 12 kids. I have over 100 cousins, and so it's really easy for me to feel familial with people, you know. Um, which is balanced, of course, by my intense introversion and need to have take time to like really get truly close to people. But I feel of comfort with the sort of family setting. And so I reached out to Scotty, who is, you know, he's like the top. He is the festival. It's his vision. He's the promoter, he's the organizer, and he really puts himself all the way into it. He's not just like a business investor. He's like a of the heart of the festival. Um, and I wrote to him and I was like, hey, my mom and dad have never been to California and they would love to come to this festival and I would love to for them to be able to come. And he wrote to me personally and expressed how much this festival is about bringing families together and supporting the community and was very accommodating um to make sure that my parents could come because they have to come all the way from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And it was a really big deal for them, and he was so cool about it. And I've got to spend time on the river with him and his family, with Britt and their daughter Mia, and just seeing the families that are there, the little kids, the kids and the adults running around in their uniform in their unicorn onesies. It's like it's such a sweet um, place that holds space for everybody to be there and to feel welcome. Um, so I'm really glad to be, to have this as a stop of one of Bart's many stops in utero on stage. And I'll be happy to be able to bring him there and welcome him into the community as he grows up because it's such a beautiful place to it would be such a beautiful place to grow up with the messaging and the atmosphere that is created and held at Winter Wondergrass.
I think one of the very unique things about that atmosphere is seeing all of these musicians come together and really playing together on stage, all the collaborations that happen. I've been to many of the festivals where it seems to me that you are the one who is most invited to be on stage with another act. And I think sometimes it's with bands that you've played with countless times. Sometimes it's kind of you're just figuring it out as you go. In fact, last year I was side stage when you were about to hop on. I can't remember who it was with, but you were literally handed a lyric sheet as you were about to go on stage to learn the song. And I'm just kind of wondering how much of a challenge is that, but also how much does that lend towards the magic that can be created on stage at this festival?
I think there's so much magic in that, not we prepare and we practice and we're always learning new songs and we're practicing that muscle to be able to do that so that when the moment comes to perform a song that you've learned in the last 10 minutes, um it's like you don't have time to think about it. It's like that Malcolm Gladwell book. What was that?
Uh,
It starts with an O.
outliers.
Outliers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was talking about, I remember him talking about this thin slicing where in the moment when an opportunity presents itself, you're not thinking. Everything that you've done, you did all the thinking while you were practicing and learning to get to that point. But in that moment, it's magic because you're not overthinking. You're not in your head. You're not trying to recreate something that has been created a million times. It's like you're really just listening and reacting to the moment. And it's not always perfect, but it's always the spirit of the magic of collaboration. And I think that there's something really special about that. And I'm like the type of person that I kind of thrive in change and challenge. And so I get a lot of fulfillment from being able to do that. And also I get so much fulfillment from being able to sing with all these different people in all these different settings, because just as much as I'm a lullaby singer, I also love singing rockin' three-part bluegrass harmony, and I love singing soulful, jazz, blues sort of songs. It's like we contain such multitudes, and it's the act of singing and not the act of singing a particular thing that I feel so connected to. So to be able to, feel my family extending by way of becoming a part of these bands for these special moments, and getting to express all the different versions of myself that are in there. It's great.
Yeah, I think you'll have a lot of that opportunity this weekend as you're listed as a special guest, not necessarily with any specific set for yourself, but it sounds like you'll probably be hopping around quite a bit. I'd have to imagine that a couple of the bands that we might see you on stage with would be the Brothers Comatose and the California Honeydrops, who you've recently released collaborations with respectively the songs Fall in Love Again and Home Again. And
Yeah.
they're great songs. I had the opportunity to talk to Ben Malment of California Honeydrops yesterday and was kind of asking him about it. He said, "Man, I'd love for Lindsay to come on stage with us. Thing is we don't really have a live performance ready for that specific song." And so he's like, I'd love to figure it out. And I'm kind of, what are the unique challenges when you get that opportunity to be on stage to perform something that you did in the studio, but it's going to be now in front of a live audience for the first time?
The challenge is usually that you can't just count on the fact that what you did in the studio is what's going to happen on stage, because those are two very different mediums. What makes sense and feels right on a record isn't always what feels right in a live performance. So a lot of times bands will make little changes, especially when concerns with the beginning and the end, but sometimes with like where the solos are and how long the solos are, and who's singing what harmonies where, and there's all sorts of things that can change between it moving from the record to the stage. But some songs are more straightforward than others in that regard. I feel like what happens a lot of times is like stuff gets cut from the end. Let's say there's like, I did this song with the Little Smokies called Shadows, and there's like this big sort of improvised end bit, and they made it more of like a concise, we sing the song and then it finishes sort of a thing, And I'm always like, oh, I liked singing all them things there, but it makes sense why you would want to do that in a live setting. You know what I mean? With the Honeydrops in particular, the Honeydrops and Leftover Salmon are both the type of band where it's like they don't necessarily have a set list, and if they do, that's definitely not what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they are so much living and breathing and reacting to what's happening in the moment that like you never know what, like, you might have an idea beforehand about what song you're going to sing, and then when the time comes, like, that might not be the song you're going to sing. You may or may not even sing. You never know, because it all is based on what's happening and where the band leader is following, what muse they're following in the moment. um and it's such an awesome thing to witness and to be a part of. It is really fun. But with the Honeydrops, like, we might not play that song, but we'll probably play something,
Yeah.
because Alesh and I just like love to sing together so much, and um I think we sing together pretty well.
Yeah.
And all those guys are just like, God, what a dreamy band, It just feels so good. And the song that I just put out with Brothers Comatose, I do hope we play that song in particular, and I think there's a good chance we will. I think they'll probably be ready for it, because that song in particular is so of the moment of what's going on. Of if they used it to raise some funds for the fires in California, which has been such an issue over the last several years, of people losing their homes, and just it's a very traumatic thing that's happening there. And they wrote a really beautiful song that I was honored to get to be a part of and sing on. Um, And I think there's a good chance that that will happen. And I've done, same thing with them. I've worked with them a handful of times over the years as well, and it just feels like a natural, really natural fit. So those things are likely, and and you just never know what's going to happen. I'm basically just there to say I'm here if you fancy a spot for me, and if not, because sometimes, you're a band and you have a tight thing that you want to do, and that has its own special place. And you don't want to break that up with some other energy. You kind of want to present your thing, and stay focused on, it's like a whatever comedians have a tight five or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like getting into that flow of the performance of a specific thing is also something that I respect and honor. But so I'm there and available to sit in. I'm also going to be a part of the Winter Wonder Woman set. That's sort of part of my job is contributing to that, which is, so I can't say it enough. I have the best job ever in the whole world. Um, and that's always really fun and satisfying and such a sweet connection with the crowd.
I wanted to ask you about the Winter Wonder Women as being something that I think is wholly unique about WinterWonderGrass is the way that they are really bringing together these just such incredibly talented women and putting them on stage together in what is typically a more or has been a more male dominated genre of music. I know that you're deeply influenced by kind of the exploration of the divine feminine and kind of countering the male type of mentality as well. Can you talk a little bit about what it's like to be part of the Winter Wonder Women, as well as seeing the popularity grow year after year? I mean, that side tent is something you can almost never get into, and then you got the main stage last year for the first time as well.
Yeah, it's been really cool to watch that. I think it was a hit from the get-go, and it's just become something that people really look forward to. There is something really inspiring and beautiful about seeing all the women at the festival get together, especially because it still is, it's definitely changing. There are so many more young women who are coming up. And I think within even the next 10 years, I feel like it's going to balance right out. And, you said countering the male energy, and it's really more about balance. I think we all have both feminine and masculine in us, and it's finding a balance there and having the courage to be a part of striking a balance in the world outside of us too. So that's what the Winter Wonder Woman does, uh it strives to achieve that balance, and it's really cool. It's a really cool thing to be a part of, and it's been sweet to, you'll see little girls, parents with their little girls at the front, watching, and representation is so huge. I think that it's changing so much now because, you know, Lori Lewis was the presence that she was in California and inspired people like Molly, and you know um having a role model that lets this thing happen in your brain that's clicks. It's like, oh, I can do that. you know there is a place for me here, is such a big thing. And there's plenty of it with men, and I don't want to discount that at all, because I think that is equally as important. Like I said, it's about balance. So it's not about getting rid of that or downplaying that, because little boys need that inspiration and modeling as well, you know but to be able to give it and be a part of modeling it now for these little girls and young women, um, feels really special because it hasn't been as represented.
Yeah,
But
I
like I
think
said, it's really changing.
I think, I mean, you speak to it. I've had the opportunity to talk to Sister Sadie earlier this year and Big Richard, and just talking about not necessarily, like you said, countering the male, but just getting to the place where we're not saying a great female band. We're just saying a great band of musicians, and that's
Yeah.
really all that they are. And you see that with Molly winning the Grammy and things like that. These women are getting recognized on an equal playing field. Still, I hope Winter Wonder Women never actually go away, because I love seeing you all come together and playing
Yeah,
such an incredible set.
totally. And I mean, it's like, you don't ever want a band of all dudes to go away that you love either. Like if something is special, it's special. And I don't think that it will. I think that Winter Wonder Woman has firmly entrenched themselves, and it was I don't know if it was Scotty or Britt's idea, or if it was Megan or Bridget or who, like I think it was inspired for sure by Side Boob, which was the all-female band of the Northwest String Summit, that Mimi Naja and the Shook Twins were a big part of bringing that together. And Mimi's been a big part of Winter Wonder Woman too, intermittently over the years. Um, but yeah, regardless of whose idea it was a good one, and I think it's here to stay.
Well, Lindsay Lou, thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you here on just about every stage, I'm sure, this weekend at Winter
I'll be getting my
WonderGrass.
steps in. I know that.
Yeah. Well, we wish you safe travels out here to Steamboat and look forward to this weekend.
Thank you.